Yeah, you ready? Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call to order the Cuyahoga County Committee of the Whole meeting for Tuesday, August the 26th. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Calling the roll, Mr. Germana.
Here.
Mr. Gallagher.
Here.
Mr. Schron.
Here.
Ms. Conwell.
Here.
Mr. Jones.
Here.
Mr. Hairston.
Here.
Ms. Simon.
Here.
Mr. Greenspan. Mr. Miller.
Here.
Mr. Brady.
Here.
And Ms. Conley.
Here.
There is a quorum.
Is there any public comment related to the agenda?
Madam Chair, there is none.
Okay, moving on to item 4. Welcome back, who has not been here for a couple of months. Jeff Applebaum, who's going to make a presentation about the Hilton Downtown Hotel. And I think his presentation kind of morphs into the next item, but we're going to let him go ahead and we'll read that item after you're finished. So you want to come forward?
This is an inaugural presentation.
We got a new microphone for you and no clock.
We okay now? I'm sorry. Yeah. Ellis Katz works with me at PMC, who is the day-to-day expert from PMC who helps us run the hotel project. So first of all, let me tell you, it's a delight to be here and do this here. This is my first occasion here to present in your home, and this is great. Second thing, it has been a few months, and this is the first time I've been here actually since, among other things, we got the RNC convention that now means that our deadline for this hotel is a very real deadline. And I did want to say one thing. I think back about all the times I've been here and all the things we've asked you to vote on. As I'm sure you realize, we wouldn't have the RNC coming to Cleveland but for every one of the votes that you made that was essential to having this happen. If you hadn't have voted timely on some of the issues that we had in terms of completing the convention center, doing the hotel, doing the transition from MMPI to get money, doing the hotel. I mean, every one of those votes, any one of those votes that hadn't taken place, or even if it had even been a month late, we wouldn't be having the RNC. So I wanted to thank you for all the help and support, because I think it's pretty extraordinary that we're in this position. So now the question is, how are we doing? You haven't seen anything about the hotel, and you're right, it's probably been a couple months. So I'm going to do a presentation here today with a lot of new material that, frankly, nobody has seen. We have not presented this publicly until we had the chance to show it to you. So here is the agenda for what we're going to do. I'm going to do a quick project summary. Then the most exciting part of this is a design update. We're going to show you what is actually happening and how the design of the hotel has evolved. We're going to talk about the construction status, the budget status, a little bit about schedule, just a quick report on where we are so far on inclusion and a labor update, because we have some exciting news on the labor front. And then the final piece will be the next piece that you have on the agenda, which is the one action item for this afternoon, which is the Bray-Whaler contract, which is our purchasing agent for what's called furnitures, fixture, and equipment. So that's the whole presentation. So to start with, here's a summary. I'm sorry, I still have to put I wanted to see if the technology could handle it, and it does. Project summary, first of all, and by the way, everything that I talk about here today, I have the privilege of presenting this on behalf of a great team that has been working very hard. And this team, it involves, from a design point of view, it's our architect, Cooper Carey. It's our interior designer, Anderson Miller. It's the design build team, which is the Turner Ozan VAA team. It's their architect of record, VOA. It's our orchestra conductor for all this, Ellis Katz, who, as a hotel architect himself, my insurance company doesn't allow Ellis to design. But he comes close, but he has been making great decisions the whole way through, saving the county a lot of money and creating innovative design solutions the whole way through. And it's also, obviously, we respond to Hilton. We do all the original design. Hilton responds. They say yes or no, but we have to get their approval at every step of the way. So the first point on this bullet list is that our design that I'm going to show you has been approved by the Hilton Design Review Committee. And that is no small task. To get through the Hilton Design Review Committee takes a lot of effort, actually. The design has been approved by the City of Cleveland Landmarks Commission. They must approve of design. We will have a model room. So in the Global Center for Health Innovation, there will be some space that we have where there is going to be we're going to actually have a mock-up of the rooms, the guest rooms in the hotel. So you'll see a mock-up of a typical guest room, the hallway outside of the guest room. And the reason we do this is, number one, to check out the design, to see how comfortable it is, to see, if there's any tweaks that need to be done. It's also then used as a marketing suite because people come in and people who may have events at the hotel get to see it while the hotel is under construction. And it's also a mock-up. It's a standard. So if people, as they do the hotel, want to come and see what was intended and look at the quality standard, they can look at that. That model room will be complete the fourth quarter of this year, so you can actually go over and walk into what will be a future hotel room in the hotel. The project is currently on schedule. And that is extraordinarily important now because we cannot slip it all behind schedule, because the first thing we're going to be doing in this hotel almost immediately after it opens is as big as any event this hotel will ever have, and that's quite a challenge. It's extraordinary what we're doing now to plan for that, because we're now talking about having opportunities in the hotel for Hilton to come in early, to start to get oriented in the hotel early, so the whole last few months of construction are also the first few months of operation, and that's like a Swiss watch what we have to do to get ready for this convention. But everything is on schedule right now. The project is currently within budget. We have a project labor agreement that has been signed, so the unions are completely on board in support of this project, and the project is meeting our inclusion goals. So that's a summary of some of the good things we have to say about it. So let's start out now with the design update. This is the program, and my only reason for putting this up here is to tell you that the program has not fundamentally changed. You can see here that once again we still stay at 600 keys or rooms. That means there's 654 bays, and that's because several of the rooms are suites. We have 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, and even 5-bedroom suites. We have a presidential suite, which is 5 bedrooms. We think the Republicans will like that, by the way, having a 5-bedroom presidential suite, so that's important. But we have 38 suites, actually, that are multiple room suites. And you can see some of the other dimensions and some of the other information just about the square area. The square footage is just over 600,000 square feet, which is not varied, really, from our early planning. Here's an aerial view. These are some more recent renderings. Here's an aerial view looking from the southwest of the hotel. I'll show this to you from Lakeside Avenue. Now, what I want you to see about this, look at this. This is the daytime view at Lakeside Avenue. Look at the eastern side of the building where you see that architectural sweep, the bend in the building. Now, imagine that it's nighttime, so now we're going to take a look at that same view at night so you can see something about how it's going to be lit up. And you'll see the LED lighting, which is going to come across that sweep, and that is going to be a beacon. That is going to be an architectural feature that you will see downtown, and it's going to be one of the extraordinary features of the hotel, how this lights up and how it looks at night. Another view that I'll show you right now, these are some of the different entryway views. So you see details. You're seeing what happens at the northeast corner, which is a critical corner that you get to look out. You're seeing the entrance in the top right-hand side. That's the lakeside entrance, the drop-off for the hotel. On the bottom right-hand side, you're seeing the entrance that faces the malls, which is where the restaurant will be, and the restaurant drop-off. And of course, in the top left-hand corner, you're seeing the sky bar. So you're seeing some better imagery. If you were a bird looking down on the right-hand side, that's actually the 32-story tower. And on the left-hand side, that's the top of the podium that has a green roof. the exact dimensions of that green roof, how much of that is green, that's still being worked out. But basically, that's sort of the bird's eye view looking down and how it's oriented toward the rest of the mall. This is sort of the overall site plan, just to keep this in mind. So the main entrance faces Lakeside Avenue. The bus drop-off, where you have, when a large crowd shows up, the bus entrance, that's going to be on Ontario. You see Hamilton Court to the south. And then on the right-hand side, look at, we'll come back to this. On the facing the mall, the grade of West Mall Drive actually goes up as you go south. So there's a dining terrace that opens up to the malls that you can see there, and it overlooks the Tower Garden on one side because that elevation drops down. So that's just a little bit of the site plan. Now, and the landscape concept, and there's a lot of landscape information. I'm not going to focus on that right now, but you can get an idea of some of the planning materials that'll be out there. But you'll see more of this later on. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start at the very bottom of the hotel, and we're going to work our way up the building. So the lowest level of the hotel is back of the house space, except for what you see in yellow. And that is actually, at the concourse level, that is how you get from the hotel to the convention center. So that's actually going down, and there will be 2 escalators there. There will be 2 elevators there, so that when you're coming out of the main area of the hotel, you go down into the convention center, right into the concourse level of the convention center. And this is what you simply see here is some of the look and the feel of that, just some of the material. There'll be some seating there, not some ottomans and things there as people may want to sit for a minute. But that's where the escalators, and that's just the entrance into the hotel. But now we go up to level 1. So level 1 is the street level at Lakeside in Ontario. This is where you have the lobby. You'll have the lobby, the front desk. There's something called the Urban Kitchen, which is a grab-and-go, a library, and an executive lounge. To look at spatially how this works, what you'll see there is, so you have your arrival at the north end, right? So you come in, and then you go straight ahead, and when you go straight ahead, you will go to the reception area, which is the welcoming area. There's going to be an offering table there. Hilton has this idea where when you come in, there'll be very promotional items. There may be some food there, snacks, some promotional item that'll be there. Now, as you come in, you can go either to the right or the left, and there are gathering areas. This hotel has because it's a convention center hotel, there are a lot of gathering areas on different levels, places where you can sit down, meet with people, have little impromptu meetings or wait, and there's a lot of gathering areas throughout this hotel. So as you see here, as you come in, you have a gathering area on the right and the left. You can go straight ahead to the reception area, and then you can also see further down to the bottom left-hand here, that's where there's a library tech lounge. So you go there, you can sit down, you can hook in for your devices, there'll be internet access, and there's a tech area there. And then as you see, if you come straight ahead and go the other direction, you see there's a circular stair. And that circular stair takes you to the second level up. There's escalators on the right to go to the second level up. There's a circular monumental stair that goes up because there's a bar right on top of the reception area. So let's take a look at some of these spaces very quickly. So number 1, that is your reception area. So your reception area, some of the features of the reception area, there's a green wall, so you'll see there's walnut there. There's a terrazzo floor, and you're starting to see some of the metal. That's tubular metal, black metal. It's angular, and the idea of this is to emulate some of Cleveland bridges, some angular structures. This is sort of, I think we have a term, it's industrial chic. It's taking some of the industrial aspects of Cleveland, but also putting some style into them. So this is a concept of what this area is going to look like.
What'd you say, green? Is that like green as in plants or just green?
That is a green wall. That is literally living plant matter on that wall.
Wow.
So there are vertical green walls, and by the way, this gets into bringing in the emerald necklace and the fact that the Forest City, Green City, all of these things are oriented. You'll see more of this are oriented to be have Cleveland elements in every one of them, and I'll show you that as we go through it. So that is truly a green wall. And by the way, up above that circular reception area, that area above is a bar that you'll see in that green wall is up on the second level too. So you'll see how that works. You see the monumental stair around to the left. So now what we're going to do is, so this gives you another feel for this lobby area. So now we're looking out at the entrance. So the area that we just looked at is to the right. The area immediately to the right, on the other side of that, the angular metal there, that is actually the library. But you have an idea where public art is going to go, and we're going to be doing a public art thing. It's going to be all local artists, local commissions for the public art in the building. You have a feeling for the walnut. You have a feeling for some of the steel, for the terrazzo floor. It's going to be contemporary, but like I say, this sort of this chic industrial chic. It's a tribute to the emerald necklace, local public art, and those are the kinds of features and things that you see here. And by the way, if you take a look at the middle image, some of this is hard to read, there's a lot of information here, but now you're looking head on at the reception desk. You can see the green wall back there. You can see some of the reception area there. And you have some idea of some of the furnishings and some of the concepts for some of the furnishings that will be there. The urban kitchen, the area on the left-hand side, each of these areas is featured in blue. This is really just the grab and go where you come in and you can, there'll be both refrigerated and non-refrigerated product there. You can buy something quick. It's like a little store there. You can get coffee there. And you have some feel of some of the, of what that will look like, some of the fixtures there. On the left-hand side, where you see blue, that is this library, this tech space, and what you see there is above it, you see the layout of the table, and then you see some of the kinds of furnishings there, and some of the elements of this tech library. There'll be the concierge desk will be there. There will be Wi-Fi, printers, television monitors. You can sit and look at high-tech TV monitors. And that'll be on this ground floor also, a gathering space, but more high-tech space. There's also going to be an executive lounge, so you see the blue area on the other side. Now, this is for people who are Hilton Honors people. We want to encourage, people to come in who will, the Hilton wants to get all their patrons to come to town. So they have their own, sort of a club area, it's executive lounge area. And in Hilton's executive lounge, and by the way, sometimes you see these on the top of hotels. Well, we want to preserve the top of the hotel, the sky bar, for the public. So this is in this area where, frankly, there's the space for it. So in this executive lounge, they have an area. You can see the themes there, arrival area. There's a pantry there, Nourish. That's where you can get snacks. There's a media area, a living lounge area, a meeting area. And so all these areas are in this executive lounge. If you've ever seen these in other hotels, it's the same concept. These are some renderings on the bottom. You can get some idea of, it's kind of hard to see here, but some idea of what that lounge is like and some of the concepts within the lounge. These are all on the first floor. Now, we go up one level to level 2. So now you take those circular stairs up, or you take the escalators up. You're up at level 2 where the bar, there's a lot of seating up there for the bar and the restaurant. So once again, and this is one way to look at it, the pink area is where the bar is, the circular area is the bar. There's part of the bar area to the left. Actually, this is a better way to look at it here. As you go up, from the ground floor, the green area is the bar, which is on top of that circular area where down below you had your check-in. You go to the left down there, that's where the salon is. There's just a lot of seating. You take your drinks, have a snack over there. The front right area is a gathering area. That's above the gathering area down below. And keep in mind that in the top right there, that is the northeast corner where you're looking out to the lake to the north, to the mall to your right. So this is a glorious area to sit, and you have this wonderful vista. And then the bottom right-hand there, that's where you walk over and come to the restaurant. So from the bottom area that's open to the bottom below where it says location gallery below, that's the front area. You take the monumental stairs up, where the escalator's to the right, you go to the bar, you come over to the restaurant. And keep in mind that restaurant's at grade with the mall, so you can walk out of that restaurant onto a terrace area on the mall. So this is an image of the bar. Once again, this is on the second level. On top of the reception area, you see the green wall, which is there that continues behind the bar. You see, once again, some of the this industrial chic concept. You see the walnut. You see black metal tubular steel, the monumental stair there up on the second level. Very chic, very, very inviting area. As you continue on to the, now once again, this is this salon area, the salon view where there's seating off the bar, gathering areas. You can look down to the reception area below, and you can look out the window to the front. That's looking toward the lakeside entrance. And these are the kinds of spaces you'll have here, kinds of furnishings you'll have here. This is a kind of a look in the top there. You're actually looking at the bar. You can see the bar there with the seating in front of the bar. You see some of the types of artwork that might be there. That's a Schreckengost bowl, which you see up there. That's just an idea that we may have, but we've looked at that kind of Cleveland-based industrial art, which we're very fond of, and we really have ideas like that throughout for our public art throughout the building. So you have a feel what that bar would be like. Once again, just some more images that show some of the furnishings and some of the ideas there. Now, as you continue on to the right, bottom right-hand side there, which is going over closer, it's really the southeast corner. That's where the restaurant is. So you come over to the restaurant. You're looking down, seeing a seating plan of that restaurant. That's kind of hard to read, but let me tell you what if you could look at that drawing, what you're seeing there. It's tiered. So the seating inside is higher up. There's a lower tier, and then there's the terrace. So no matter where you sit, you can look out the glass and you can see them all. So no matter where, it's kind of like the terrace club, if you will, at Jacobs Field. Any place you sit, you're looking at what you're supposed to see, which is looking out at the activity on the mall. There'll be a demonstration kitchen area. There's a wine display area. There's a concept of that on the left-hand side here. You'll have this outdoor protected terrace. And once again, on the north side, it overlooks the terrace garden. You can't see it here. You see the terrace on the right. That's the unshaded area. That overlooks the terrace garden straight ahead. So now we're going to talk about the restaurant concept. And this has not yet been publicly divulged yet, but we're going to do it now to talk a little bit about the concept. The concept is a Mediterranean grill. And let me tell you the reasons for this concept. A lot of research was done on what might work here. And so number one, and this is not like Italian or Greek or Lebanese, it's the entire Mediterranean. In other words, it's sort of a smorgasbord of Mediterranean type concepts, because we have so many ethnicities in the Cleveland area, and there's so many places you can pick from and interesting food choices that we said we're going to feature Mediterranean, and we're going to have the ability to pick and choose and have an interesting interesting combinations. Why? First of all, because it's reflective of Cleveland. We can do a lot of Cleveland influence. Number two, we really don't have a great Mediterranean restaurant downtown, and this is a choice that fills a niche. Also, we know that guests like this. It also fits in very nicely with our health theme, because Mediterranean diet, health orientation, global center, we can feature that. We are going to feature local food product wherever possible. Hilton has made a commitment to us and of doing everything locally that you can do. So any food product we can find in Northeast Ohio and Ohio, we will use that before any other food product. There's a very strong commitment for that. And so that'll be a part of this. We're also going to be ultimately using a local top chef influence. It's a little early right now, but we will be finding our inspiration from the local community. We have a great food community here. We have great options here, and there will be a local chef influence, and there'll be more about that later. It's premature to talk about that right now. But this entire concept is Mediterranean in a very clean and contemporary way. You see some restaurants some of you may know about that are the inspirations down below. Some other cities have great restaurants that have this concept. The design direction, as you can see here, is intimate, modern, subtle, and relaxed. This is not going to be an in-your-face, Mediterranean restaurant that has, fig leaves on the wall. This is like I say, sort of a stylish, chic, and you can get some of the inspiration, some of the concepts in those pictures there. That's not precisely what we're doing, but that's the inspiration for what we're designing right now. One of the greatest ideas about this is the service style. And the concept here is that food choices will be enhanced by unique serving pieces. So if you think about the Mediterranean and some of the great food choices, what really is unique about them are the vessels in which the food is served. So one of the things we're going to do to really feature this restaurant is to have vessels from these various Mediterranean venues that are authentic. And so you serve the food in the regional vessel that is used for the food, and you see some examples there. I would go through the list, but I'm fearful of mispronunciation on some of these, so I won't. But you can get the idea for some of these extraordinary vessels and how that will work. So as it says here, these items will enhance the contemporary china and flatware for the restaurant and create a sense of discovery. And this is really a big part of the theme. You're going to see something similar when we talk about the Sky Bar. Original concepts, something different, something we haven't seen, but really makes it interesting. It really makes this a destination and not just another hotel restaurant. So that's level 2. Now we're going to go up a level, and now we are one more level up in the podium of the building, and now we go to the pre-function space in the junior ballroom. So once again, this is a spatial plan on the left-hand side, and north is on top. So we have these meeting rooms that face the lake, and then we have the junior ballroom, which, by the way, is a larger junior ballroom than the junior ballroom in the global in the Global Center. You know that junior ballroom, which is about 10 to 12,000 square feet. This one is 13,000 square feet. And you can see it's divisible into 5 units. The design of this ballroom is pretty intriguing. The feature here, and there's a reason I had that sail away. This is sort of like sailing on Lake Erie. So you have on top, you have this ceiling treatment that's like clouds across the sky. And then you have the blue reflecting the blue sky, and I think of this as actually being like on the lake, sailing on the lake, where you have this gorgeous blue carpet that reflects the sky, and then you have the clouds on top. It's very airy feeling. It's like sailing out on Lake Erie. The light comes in from the left. You see the walnut, the stylish walnut treatment on the walls. So this is a very stylish, elegant junior ballroom with a very light, airy design. That's on that level. The pre-function space outside, you can see some of the walnut treatment, the walnut bays. So now that's level 4. Now we go to the next level up on the podium, which is level 5, and this is where the ballroom, the main ballroom, and the boardroom and pre-function space will be. So once again, the first thing we'll talk about is the main ballroom, and this ballroom is 22,000 feet or so square feet. So this is, if you want to think about it, it's if you can think about being over at the convention center, this is about 2/3 the size of the main ballroom there, or about double the size of the junior ballroom there. So this is sort of this interim. It'll be the second largest ballroom and the largest hotel ballroom in downtown Cleveland. As you can see there, to the north, once again, you have meeting rooms that face the lake, one of which is the boardroom, which I'll talk about in a minute. You have a lot of pre-function space, and on the upper right-hand corner, once again, all this pre-function space on the northeast side all the way up is a column of light, because that's facing the lake and facing the malls to the northeast. And then you have the ballroom. Now, the main ballroom, the greatest feature of the main ballroom, and by the way, there's a reason I had that transition, because it features this angular bridge structure in the ceiling, including the lighting elements, which are on those linear structures. And this emulates the angularity, the industrial Cleveland, the bridge structures in Cleveland. And I don't think this picture does it justice, but it's really going to be a very cool an elegant ceiling structure that once again is this, we keep coming back to this industrial chic type of concept. Very stylish, yet very, very Cleveland oriented. The pre-function space outside, once again, you have these walnut bays, you have the public art on the wall there, and it'll just be very, very, very warm space and very inviting space. Now, of those meeting rooms across from the ballroom, one of them is called the boardroom. So we have one space there, which is a high finish premium meeting space. You have sort of the image of it in the middle there. There will be a table there. It'll be a boardroom type of function. So when someone comes in with their corporate group, they can have their annual board meeting there if they want to, or someone can rent the space out for the highest level activity they have. And this will be a premium. And by the way, this space is very much in demand. We found out that from conventioners and others, they want a space like this to do a very high level meeting. We even have corporations that'll come downtown and do a board meeting in Cleveland, but they want a boardroom for the board meeting. Well, this is it. This is where it's going to be. So that is, once again, the 5th level. Now, the final thing we're going to talk about is, we call it level 6. This is really the bottom level. This is the level of the towers. The tower is going up to the 32nd floor. The first tower level that extends above the podium is where we're going to have the pool and fitness center. So if you take a look, you can see the podium to the left, and you can see this floor at level 6. You notice on the very top, that's where the pool is, and the fitness center. The pool is open to Lake Erie on the north, and you'll have views to the east and the west from the pool. So it'd be a very dramatic place to have a pool and a fitness center, and we think it'll be attractive. We do not yet have a rendering of the pool, but you can see some images of, spaces that are sort of inspirations for this, and that is not going to be, actually ours I think will be more open than that. That is a little bit more closed view, but it'll be a pool that's in that whole corner. You'll have 3 views, 3 sides of it. You'll also have a fitness center that's adjacent to it that will have your typical level of fitness equipment. So that is that center. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about, I want to go up to the top of the building, 32nd floor. Sometimes we call this the Jim Brown floor. And maybe there'll be we'll see what he wants to sponsor. But this is on the 32nd floor, and this is the feature that we call the Sky Bar. And we're going to now reveal the concept here for the first time. And once again, the Sky Bar is at the very north end of the building, and there's 2 different shades there, because there's the indoor component of the bar, and then there's the terrace, where in good weather or decent weather, it'll be weather protected. You can go out on the terrace, a protected terrace, 32 stories above Cleveland, which is going to be pretty dramatic, looking over Lake Erie and looking to the east and the west. The Sky Bar, and there's a reason for that, it's called Float. And the concept of float, there's a few different inspirations of this. It's the idea of floating above the clouds or floating with the clouds. It also has to do with the service there, because we're going to have drinks up there that are both alcoholic and non-alcoholic, but they're drinks that you use liquid nitrogen for instant freezing. It's a lot of fun. You've seen dessert bars that will make a float, like a root beer float or other drinks with liquid nitrogen, instant freezing ice cream. There's also alcoholic drinks that use the same technology. So it'll be very, very cool, interesting types of drinks. You can go up there for alcoholic beverages. You can also go up there for dessert. And that's the concept, very high level. The service direction, as you see there, it's very attentive, engaging. People there will be very knowledgeable and experts in what we call the float fountain up there. They'll be knowledgeable about everything going on in Cleveland, whether it's sports, the Rock Hall of Fame. It'll be an area where the people who serve you up there, they're up there, you're looking over all of Cleveland, and they know all about it. So it'll be a very interesting area. A first impression of the bar. So now you are at the windows looking back at the bar, and you can see some features of the bar where people actually have the liquid nitrogen machines and other things they'll serve you. You get the contemporary nature of it, the tables there. There's also tables back where I'm standing, from the point of view, and back into the terrace that goes back there. So this is some concepts of this Sky Bar, which will be one of the most fabulous spaces in Cleveland.
Keep in mind that the wall up there is tilted angular downward, which does two things. One, it allows people to look down onto the mall, but also it reduces the amount of reflectivity when you're looking at a dark piece of glass, so you'll be really having a clear view out into the skyline.
So if your thing is to have a few drinks and go over the window and look straight down 32 stories, we better make sure we have some cleaning materials too, just in case. But this is, it's going to be a dramatic place, a wonderful place. And you can get some idea here. What you're seeing here is you're seeing the bar and some of the furnishings and concepts that will be there, very contemporary concepts up there in the Sky Bar. A little bit about the guest rooms. So first of all, let me show you, I'm going to show you a typical corridor, talk about king and queen rooms, and also, I don't have it on there, but also some of the suites. So this is interesting about the corridor, because what you actually see here, what you're looking at is you get off the elevator bank, and that's the largest, the thickest piece of carpet, and you look down, and that carpet is going to be a Cleveland road map. So you're going to have this concept map in the threads of the carpet that actually show you kind of Cleveland. And I don't know if this will be a contemporary view of Cleveland or an older view of Cleveland, but this idea of the image of Cleveland through the roads and rivers will be into the map. As you walk onto the hallway, that just basically comes into a striated pattern. So it goes from a precise map of Cleveland into the image of these striations. Once again, part of the whole Cleveland theming throughout the hotel, everything Cleveland about this hotel. And then you get into the floor plate of the floor in the typical corridor. So let's talk about a typical king room. This is probably an image that's uncomfortable for you to look at, but when our planners look at it, you're looking from the top down just to get an idea of where the closet is, where the bathroom is. Here's an image that'll be a little more comfortable for you. So this is a typical king room, and a couple of features of the king room to note. First of all, above the bed, that whole wall will be an art wall, and once again, this will be Cleveland-based public art. There we're going to have, this has the image of Cleveland, or some image of Cleveland that's very dramatic and shows, you know, downtown Cleveland, the Cleveland concept. Here, of course, you have this image of the lake in downtown, but there'll be an image like that, so it's, once again, the Cleveland orientation. You have an idea of the contemporary sweeping nature of it. This will be a very high-tech room, receptacles, everything you need to be in a high-tech environment, in a convention center environment, and obviously dramatic views out of every window in the hotel. Some of the king rooms, at least initially, you know, we'll start with one or two, and then we'll see if this takes off, will be cardio rooms. So in this room, if you take a look at the upper left-hand corner by the window, there's an area there, which is actually sort of a rubberized floor that will have that cardio machine. And if you want to have a room where you have your own cardio machine and a workout room right in your hotel room, you'll pay a bit of a premium, but there you have it. There'll also be a yoga room in that same area. If you want to privately exercise and do yoga, you can have that room. Now, the way that this will start out, we have several extended rooms that can accommodate this. We don't yet know what the demand is. We think the demand's going to be great. So we're going to start out, you know, small. We'll have a few of these. And if the demand picks up, then we will furnish more of these. And we'll see, we'll let the demand, we'll furnish to demand. Yes?
A question about the yoga room. To do yoga, you have a mat. What is it that they envision for the room to have
What
other?
they would have, in that same area where you see the exercise machines, where you have the exercise machine, is going to be an area with a yoga mat. There'll be a ball that they can use to balance with. They'll have videos tied into the television so they can follow a course of instruction to do their different positioning. They've actually tested this market already, Hilton has, in various places, and they're finding that they're getting about a pretty good percentage premium room rate for these things. So people like to use them. And it really ties in really well with the Global Health Center.
What percent more would be like a room like this?
Excuse me?
Would like 50% more?
I think
don't
they
think
were
it'd be
talking
that
about
much,
20%. I
20
think
20 to
we've
30.
heard 20% more. But once again, I think what we're going to do is test the demand. And if there's a high demand, you know, we obviously, there's a little bit, you have to pay for the machine, you have a little bit more maintenance involved and some more cleaning and care involved, but, we'll price it correctly and we'll see what the demand is and we'll grow to the demand. But I think it's important to offer this, if for no other reason, to test the market. And we do want to get this health theme together with the Global Center for Health Innovation. So let's be innovative. Let's try some things like this. So I think this is pretty exciting. And like I say, we're not making this big commitment. We're starting small. We'll see if it works. And then we have the ability to expand it.
Japanese too? You considering Japanese?
Excuse me?
Japanese rooms? With the Tommy mats and all the stuff that because the Japanese guests would, when they come, would blow them away if you could offer true Japanese rooms, I would think.
Will you consult with us on that? We don't.
We haven't thought of that.
We haven't thought of that yet. But since you have, we will now think of it, and you can we'll figure out. Look, we have some of these extended rooms, so we can theme them a few different ways and test different markets. So that's probably a very good idea, and we can think about that. Once again, I think that part of this is experimenting. It's not a huge investment.
It's just a bar. It's just beer. Come on. It's a caker.
We're asking about the rooms for the Irish delegation.
I'll pass. Okay, now we'll go to the typical queen room. So we have a series of rooms. A lot of the rooms are king, and a lot of them are double, and it's not double, they'll be double queens because there's a lot of market demand for these types of rooms. So once again, that's the view from the top down that I know is not a comfortable view for you. This is a more typical view, and in this particular case, as you can see, the wall above the queen beds, that's going to be a Cleveland montage. Once again, more public art, that's more of a montage of images there. And you can get a feel for what this room will be like, and you'll see more about this later. And this will be tested in the model suite ultimately. We also have, I said, 38 multiple bay suites. I don't have any good images of this, but looking down, that's like a 2-bay suite on the left-hand side. You can see there's the bed area on the bottom, and then the next bay over is the living area, which is sort of a pit where you have, couch, seating area, et cetera. We'll have 3, 4, and even 5-bay suites. It's hard to see this on the left-hand side, but you're looking at the bedroom at the top. You're seeing two bathrooms, all kinds of living areas in different areas. And this will be pretty extraordinary living space once it's all set up. It's kind of hard to see here. So now that's the design portion. I know I've gone a long time, but I thought it was worth showing this to you. So now let me tell you a little bit. This will go much quicker. Construction status. What you see there, and now that you don't live there across the street, you don't see this anymore, but I will tell you this project is flying. We are moving very quickly. So construction status, we're completing, and on this view, so you're looking from the south to the north, the tower, the 32-story tower will be on your right, and the podium's on the left. So on the left-hand side, you can see they're completing the foundation for the podiums. This is a very recent picture. We are actually right now, I looked out my window today, so on the right-hand side, you see how they're starting to create a structure on top of the slab-on-grade on the right. So you have a slab-on-grade that is already poured. Now they're putting the forms up, and as of today, they're just about done putting the forms up so they can pour the first elevated slab. So you have the bottom slab-on-grade, and then you have your first elevated slab, and that is about to be poured because they're just about ready to do that. The first steel has already been fabricated, and it will be on the site shortly. I talked about the model room, which will be ready this fall in the Global Center. So how's this building going to rise up in front of you? I can tell you that by December, you will see the floors come up to the 90-foot level. So just so you'll know a little bit about the construction, the podium on the left, that's basically a steel structure where you have steel decking and poured-in-place concrete. On the right, the 32-story structure, that's basically a concrete structure as it goes up with the poured floors. But this will all be at about the 90-foot level in December, which means the podium will be essentially done because that's where it ends. And then you'll see the tower rise about 1 floor per week for the next 32 weeks. So it'll be going up and up and up and up and up and up and up. At the same time, in about January of next year, you'll see the skin start to come on the building and enclose the building. So that's what you're going to see out there. And once again, you'll be surprised at how fast this goes and how dramatic it really is. It's quite a story. If you want to see what 2 hours of construction look like, look closely now. Hopefully this will work. That's 2 hours of work on the last week, and eventually you'll see that for the whole building going up. So I just give you a hint of that. So a couple other details. Permitting, we're going step by step by step, obtaining permits as required for each component of the project. All permits are expected to be obtained by the beginning of 2015. A word about the budget. And the only thing I'm going to tell you right now, this is what I showed you in April. You can go back and check, but this is exactly where I said we were based on our financing plan. And the only thing you need to know right now, because I'm going to come back, I don't intend to stay away for 2 months because things are going to happen quickly, so I'm going to make more, probably maybe monthly reports now because a lot's going to be happening. But I can tell you that the key numbers on this chart, on sources and uses, is the construction budget to do everything, including the construction, design, FF&E, furniture, fixture, and equipment, supplying the building and everything, as you may recall, including some of our contingency, but not all of it. That was about $272 million. And on top of that, we had two contingencies, a $4 million design contingency and then a $15 million general contingency. That's what our hotel funding buys us. And I can tell you that all of these numbers are intact. We are within our 272 budget right now, and we have not tapped into either of the other two contingencies. So we're doing just fine in terms of budget. And there may be some projects we tell you about later on that may use some of that contingency money, but right now we're not thinking of spending any of it unless we absolutely need to as the building continues to emerge in design. So we're doing great budget-wise. Schedule-wise, before I go there, the buyout of the project. As more and more of the trade contracts are bought out, more and more of the risk of any cost overrun is eliminated. Now, keep in mind that our design builder takes that risk in their contingency, and we even get some of their contingency back if we have an effective buyout. We are on budget right now. About 60.5% of all the trade contracts have been bought out. So we bought out 60% of the job. We still have 40% of the job to buy out as we continue through the procurement process. And the purchase trades you see listed there. Just a little bit about manpower. You remember as we went through the convention center project, I would always show you a manpower loading chart and show you where we were. So for right now, so in July, there was an average of, we expended 64 man months, which means that on the average workday, we had 64 people on the site. Just so you'll know how this will peak, in August of next year, we will peak at about 314 people working on the site. Now, later on, I mean, there's another actual peak that will occur at the very tail end of the job because you'll still have workers on the site, but then you'll have all the Hilton's people inside gearing up. So there'll be a lot more people, but pure labor force, union labor force, we're at 64, we'll peak at 314. To date, we've had no serious accidents, no lost time accidents, so it's been a very safe job. Schedule-wise, so here's what we've completed on time. We've abated, we've demolished, the deep foundations are complete. In a couple weeks, the concrete foundations will be complete. And the only thing you really have to think about, worry about, is that very last thing, open for business a few weeks before the Republican National Convention. So that's the schedule, and that's where we are on the schedule.
Jeff, can I ask one question?
Yes.
I know you're going to get to the inclusion goals.
Yes.
But could you speak to them in context of the last two slides you just showed?
This one?
And the one before it, yes.
Yeah. Well, you're going to see something in a couple minutes. And I will tell you that our opportunities for inclusion will increase as we go through the project, because right now, there's a lot of, there's some specialty trades. By way of example, when we did the deep caissons, some of that stuff, you have less ability to get some of these things locally. as we go through the project, our ability to increase our numbers will increase trade by trade. Because first of all, we haven't, the labor force is still just building up. But as we build up and we have more types of trades and more types of opportunities, those opportunities will increase. We're also very, very active right now. I mean, we have, and I can come back, and I actually took out a bunch of slides because I would have spent 30 minutes on the inclusion process. But we have a lot of events right now. We're still matching up small businesses, MBEs, FBEs, local workforce. That's all happening. We have events repeatedly now, and so we're still building up our capacity and what occurs there. And I really do think we should have, maybe even the next time I appear in 30 days or whenever we're going to do it, I'll do a special presentation and bring the folks in who are running that, and we can get into the real detail. I do have some numbers here in just a second on that.
And just as a side note, I'd like to have an offline conversation as well, just to talk about
Sure.
some of the efforts as well.
One thing that I think that we are doing better this time around than last time around, and you know how hard, you know everything that we did on the convention center. We're doing all of that, plus the thing that I don't think we did as well as we could have last time around was our outreach to the Hispanic community. So far, that outreach is superior on the hotel project. We learned some lessons. We have some groups in to help us on that, and there was a lot of tension on that issue on the last project. On this project, that tension has been abated because I think people believe that some of those needs are being satisfied better than they were before. I mean, we're learning as we go through this, and we're building on everything we did before. So now, some of the trades are not, some of our inclusion was easier to obtain on the convention center because of some of those contracts. We have a lot of work here that is very unique and is not typically done in Cleveland. So, there's some areas where we have more challenges, but that also means we have more opportunities. We can expose people to trades they've never been exposed to before. But I'll get into those numbers in just a minute.
And also in apprenticeship. I know we've done the PLA you mentioned is signed already. I'd like to know what the inclusion efforts will be in light of the PLA.
They're very strong. I mean, once again, we have, as you know, there's been a lot of discussion on the apprenticeship program. What I would like to do on that one, though, I would like to bring those people involved to come in and talk about that.
Okay.
Because I wouldn't do it justice. I mean, I can tell you a lot about it, but I'd rather tell you everything about it and have those people here. So if we could maybe do that in the next session. We can do it offline, but I'll do it in the next session.
Okay.
But I have a little bit about that here. We have adopted an 11-point best practices plan for diversity and inclusion. Our team, the county is involved, obviously. MBS is involved on this project. Turner, Ozanne, VAA. The Sanchez Group is actually involved now, and they're helping with the Hispanic outreach. That's a new component, which has been very effective, by the way, I have to say. Some of what's going on, and I don't want to get into this detail, we are doing the community outreach offsite program. We are having the certification workshops. We're having the regular review meetings. We're very active and aggressive. The blueprint and bid documents are available to everyone online so that there's better information. We're hosting SBE bid package events. We've employed a monitoring and compliance program, and Turner is working very hard doing a 5-step youth education and scholarship program that we can talk more about. Just to review, we have goals on this project that we didn't have on the last project. So we now have, last time we had a 25% SBE goal from the county. We have that, but in addition to that, we're implementing a 15% MBE and 7% FBE goal through our voluntary accepted program. The workforce participation, we had 40% county and 20% city residency last time. We have that again, but this time we also have the 4% low income program, which is in some ways maybe the most difficult one to get our arms around because it's really innovative and new, and we have to figure that out, but we're working on it. 20% minority workforce, 6% female workforce, which are new this time around. We monitored it last time around, but it was not an explicit goal. So it's still early.
One question on the 4% low income as you strategize. What are your initial thoughts about your efforts toward
Well,
reaching that 4%?
that is really being, that has to be done in conjunction with the unions. It's really targeting areas and neighborhoods. Once again, I would like that I'd like to bring the people in who are working on that right now, okay? Because that's a whole conversation, and I think we could do it offline, or I would bring the whole group in that's working on it. I don't think I would do it justice without having those folks here.
One question, though, does the PLA have any impact on that 4%? Does that guide us in that?
Yes, it does. Now, I will tell you that we made efforts to do even more than what's in the PLA. We were very aggressive in negotiating the PLA. We aggressively negotiated for more of an apprenticeship program. So, we, more than labor's ever given. We got a lot. We didn't get everything that we would have liked. But yes, the PLA will be helpful. And of course, what the county ultimately does with community benefits is still an open question on this. But we are driving this as far as we can. I will tell you that Turner, in our PLA negotiations, we drove very hard. I mean, I'll show you the draft and I'll show you where it ended up. So it's still a conversation and we're making progress, but we're doing everything we can to get to the issue and have as strong an apprenticeship program and then as strong of a participation program from low-income neighborhoods by targeting people in low-income neighborhoods. And you'll see, once again, on the goals, you'll see, now this is very early, but you'll see on the SBE goal, we're at 29% versus the 25% goal. The MBE goal, we're about 16% versus the 15% goal. FBE, we're about double the goal right now in FBE. Workforce early on, we're at 43% county versus the 40% goal. We're about 19% city versus the 20% goal, but that's a rounding error. We're really at 20%. The low-income person goal, we're at 3% versus the 4% goal. We think that's going to improve as we know more about how to do this and as we penetrate neighborhoods. The minority workforce is at 19 plus versus 20%. And the female workforce, this is interesting because you see we're double, when it comes to the business owners, we're at double the goal for female. For workforce, we're about half, so we need to do more work on that. So we have female owners who will help us to employ female workers, I guess. But it's early on. These are going to moderate and these will grow. But that's just a very early snapshot in time for right now. I just went the wrong way, didn't I? And by the way, just by way of example, and I just point this out here if people are looking at this. So one of the upcoming events we have September 18th at the Convention Center. We have an SBE, MBE, FBE outreach event. We think this will be very, very well attended, and we have posted on the website. There is a website the county has where we post all of these events and all this information. With respect to labor, I'll just make a couple quick announcements. Number one, there is a project labor agreement, as I mentioned, signed with the Cleveland Building Trades, and I will distribute that PLA to you so you can review it. But it is a PLA that is, in the way we did this one, it is signed between the Cleveland Building Trades and the design builder, and then the county, through a no-cost change order to Turner, acknowledges the PLA and our support and acknowledge the PLA. So it's built in. It's something that we expected of Turner, required of Turner. They got it as we required, and we've acknowledged that there's no cost, no additional cost for getting that through a no-cost change order. In a minute, I'm going to talk about the Bray-Whaler agreement, and that is for our procurement agent.
You know what, before you do that, why don't we have the clerk read that in? We need to read that and go on to item 5, and we'll read it, and then you can go on and talk about it.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
Okay. All right.
Resolution number 2014-0191, a resolution making an award on requisition number 30137 to Bray-Whaler International in the amount not to exceed $308,000 to arrange for the purchase, delivery, and installation of certain furnishings, fixtures, operating supplies, and equipment for use in the operation of the hotel. Authorizing Bray-Whaler International to act as the county's agent to purchase the furnishings, fixtures, operating supplies, and equipment in the amount not to exceed $25 million for use in the operation of the hotel, authorizing the county executive to take all necessary actions and to execute all documents necessary to consummate the contemplated transactions, authorizing the Director of Public Works to administer the project, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Okay, and before I launch
We
into
don't
the-
need a notion to adopt that, we just read.
sorry.
Okay.
Before I launch into that, let me just take 1 second, because I want to come back. I don't want to, I want to give you a little more information. Let me have Ellis just talk a little bit, just at the, not at the concept level, but at the working ground level. Ellis, talk a little bit about the weekly and bi-weekly meetings that we're having on the project for conclusion.
Right.
Into the microphone.
The team that we presented on the slide meets on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, and what we do in that meeting is we go through every single contractor or subcontractor that's being listed for the project. We make sure that every single one gets touched on by this team to make sure that they're meeting or exceeding the inclusionary goals that we've set on the project, and we track that to see how they're doing. The next step is, once we find out who their participants are in the subcontracting trade, is to work on them to get their workforce and make their workforce obligations be met. So we're constantly doing that. At the same time, there's a grassroots campaign that's being done within the local communities, especially the Sanchez Group is working very hard to meet with local pastors, parishes, things like that, to try to get these kids to come in and steer them in the right direction towards getting their apprenticeship program completed, because to get into the unions, they need that apprenticeship program, and they steer them towards Tri-C or whoever it might be to get them into those programs. So we talk about that every time we meet and try to make sure that they're being tracked, and we schedule the next coming meetings as Turner starts bringing on trades. And like Jeff was saying, what you saw in terms of the project trades that are on the project right now, the next ones are going to be the finished trades, and there's going to be a lot more opportunity, we think, on the finished trades for inclusion goals to be met as well. So I hope that helps a little bit to understand what we're doing.
It does, and thank you, Jeff, also for allowing me to see a copy of the PLA. So
Yes.
I have reviewed it already. The one concern I had was I saw a paragraph about apprenticeship utilization. And it was one paragraph, kind of a general statement of, best faith efforts to, reach apprenticeships. But I know Turner Construction has done some incredible apprenticeship projects across this nation. One in particular, the Sacramento King PLA that you've done. That was one that was very detailed. It was excellent. Do you see any opportunities to do things like that on this project, based on the language I read in the PLA?
Let me mention a few things about that. And we partner. Labor has been a great partner on this project. And we challenge each other, to what we can do. I will tell you, the original version of the PLA had the Sacramento program in it. So we actually proposed that, oddly enough. Now, we couldn't get there right now with labor, but they're moving, and we're pushing, and I think they're responding responsibly. But this is the challenge as we move forward. How far can we go? The other thing I want to mention is, I think that we're in a very interesting time, because in the next 2 years, everybody wants to get every project done now. There's a lot of projects people want done by 2016. There's other projects that are now downtown on the board. You've seen a new hospital project. There is going to be a lot of demand. And by the way, just people who are building out spaces for venues. It's still labor. It's still a lot of, carpenters and a lot of laborers. There is going to be a real heavy-duty demand for construction labor in the next couple of years. So how this all pans out, what opportunities we can provide, this is quite an opportunity, and it's also quite a challenge for everybody. I mean, think about just what the county wants to do. Aside from getting the hotel done, the bridge project is important. The county is at least a stakeholder in the Public Square project, and there's just there's a dozen other things that we could talk about just downtown here alone. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out. Once again, I think I think that topic is a much larger topic than the few minutes we have right now, and I think we need to come back to that and bring the right people in, and we can really have that conversation.
We certainly do. We certainly want to have those conversations. But I do want to be on the record as having said, I support unions, been a union supporter. I've my knuckles have been bloody knocking on doors for SB 5 and all of these things. But this is an opportunity. As you said, there's some challenges, but this is an opportunity
Absolutely.
to provide work opportunities for residents across this county and individuals across this county. And it's time to share in these opportunities for everyone.
Couldn't agree more.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jones. I mean, this is an excellent point, but we got to kind of move on to this furniture.
Okay, so,
And you are connected, so you're going to get all the information that you need. Okay, thank you.
he has my phone number.
Okay.
So the one connection from labor into this is we're now talking about procurement of what's called furniture, fixtures, and equipment. So there's a lot of things that we put into the building that are not really base construction, but there are things like carpet, like specialty light fixtures, like casework, like furnishings. And there is going to be, somewhere between, depending on how this breaks out, there will be more than $15 million, somewhere between $15 and $25 million of this stuff, depending on how we break it out between FF&E and what's called OS&E that I'll tell you about in a minute. Now, we have an understanding. Now, that is not controlled by Turner. It's installed at the same time, but that's separate procurement, and we use a purchasing agent for that. We do have, before I talk about that, we also wanted to make sure that in the building, that those people who install FF&E are also bound by union contracts. So we have entered into a memorandum of understanding with Bray Whaler, which will be part of the documentation you approve, and that memorandum of understanding is a three-way memorandum. It's between the Cleveland Building Trades, the county, and Bray Whaler, and what Bray Whaler agrees is that every contract that is entered into, that they enter into as our agent, that involves any installation on the site is also done by unions. So it's also done by union labor. We also have the same goals for installing contractors. So that's how you bring that installation work in. Now, the resolution itself, well, here you see the resolution that was just read to you. Essentially what we're talking about here is Bray Whaler is a purchasing agent. They're going to get a fee to perform the service. The fee that is negotiated is a not-to-exceed fee of $308,000 to act as our purchasing agent to manage the procurement process for up to $25 million of FF&E. And when we talk about FF&E, we're talking about, like I said, things like carpet, furnishings, case goods, decorative lighting. There'll be many, many contracts. We can go through some of the detail. But they will be our purchasing agent to do this. They have expertise in doing this. There's a special way of getting this done. They were selected through a competitive process. We had a selection committee, and we went through the normal county procurement process to do that. All of the underlying work will be procured through a competitive bidding and pricing process. So when it comes to carpet, there's a standard for carpet, yet, different carpet suppliers will propose and they will be selected. They have to meet the specifications of the architect, but they will be selected. All installation will be by union labor, and it'll all be coordinated. We at PMC coordinate it, Turner, but it's coordinated with Turner so that it's all there in place, ready to go by the opening of the project. And there's a lot of coordination there because in the last few months of the project, Turner's completing their work. They're bringing all this stuff in. The hotel, this training in the hotel, so there's a lot of activity there, and there's a lot of careful coordination. But this is the resolution. So the resolution is not just to pay them the fee, but it's to allow the contracting for the FF&E. And by the way, that number is the number within the budget that you've already approved. So we could not go beyond that number or the construction budget without coming back to you, but we are confident that we can get all this procured well within that number. This actually includes the FF&E number and a component of the contingency designated for FF&E. Now, ultimately, there'll be one more contract that we'll come back to you for, which is a similar type of procurement. It's called OS&E. This is the owner's supplies and equipment. Now, this is more like plates, salt shakers, napkins, the initial supply of toilet paper, I mean, everything that you need, linens to run the hotel, really the soft goods. We've already been through the selection process. And we'll come back to you and tell you who has won that process. And there will be another sum of money within our budget, which is the OS&E. And that will be the final procurement package, and there'll be a procurement agent for that as well, but that will be the next time, probably the next time we meet, will be time for that. So that is that resolution.
How much of the furniture is American-made? Like all the stuff you're buying is $25 million. That's a big shot in our economy. Is all of it American-made? I mean, I know certain things you can't even buy, they're made.
First of all, the furniture is pretty small, it's not nearly, I mean, it's a few $1 million of that.
Yeah, I mean, there's as much as we can possibly get to meet the quality standards that Hilton requires as we can, a US made that's still within the budget. There is still a lot of sourcing that's done overseas. That's true in the hotel industry. But we're on a big push right now. We've told this to Bray Whaler to try to buy USA. And the good thing about it is right now there are some new shops, particularly on the case goods and the furniture trades, that are appearing. Some in the Midwest, some in the South, a lot of them actually in the South, that are able to produce the kind of USA-made product that we can in a competitive fashion.
We have a commitment from Hilton, and by the way, I will tell you that Hilton will be working with us much more closely on the OS&E as well. We have to meet Hilton standards. So, you know, if we propose some furniture, Hilton does have to approve of it for their standards. But I will tell you that Hilton has a very strong commitment, and this is everything from FF&E to food purchases. And their commitment is local first, you know, local, regional, U.S. So they get it. And it's, by the way, it's important for their brand as well, at least their brand in the United States. So they're working with us closely, and we're trying to keep it local where we can, regional where we can, U.S. when we can. And that is a strong commitment and, you know, policy as we go through this.
Mr. Gallagher has a question.
So Bray Whaler will be under the auspice of our 2% local bid?
Yes. I
Okay.
mean, everybody understands that the local, that is baked into every procurement policy.
Okay, great, thank you.
We have some local vendors that are well aware of it, and, you know, that's baked into the policy.
When will the purchase be made?
Excuse me?
When will we have the?
Well, this
purchases
is
of
made, there's a schedule of this, and it's made at different points in time throughout the process. So it's really, I don't know if you can comment on that.
Well, the way purchasing works for instance, we're gonna have to purchase the model room first. So there's a pricing package that's being generated for getting the pricing to create alternative products. So for example, when you come to visit the model room, you'll see maybe 3 or 4 different case good manufacturers, all representing like the desk or the closets or the vanities. So we can see quality comparisons and also price comparison. We'll do that for the bedding, for the carpet, those kind of things. And so as they start working on the project, they're going to start looking at the priorities about what needs to be done when. 600 key of the hotel is the biggest part of the FF&E. Then it's the public areas. And so you're going to see purchase orders coming in, and it'll be a part of our disbursement request that we do with the county as we do with all of our requests now with the funding in place. It's going to the trustee. And so there'll be a purchase order request made of maybe 20 or 30 different vendors that have been vetted out and competitively priced, and we're going to be asking for permission to write those purchase orders as their agent on your behalf.
And it's the reason, by the way, we do this through a purchasing agent, because obviously, you know, we wouldn't come back to you for every single small purchase. We use a purchasing agent, we have a competitive process, and we have a budget, and we have Hilton standards. It's complicated, but there's a process which is tried and true for how you do this. But once again, there is, you know, all the considerations of other contracting is baked into this, whether it's the local, you know, the ordinance that deals with the local preference, whether it's labor. Everything is baked into that to the extent that you have, and particularly if you have workers on site, installation workers. Everything else, it's, you know, where can you get, and by the way, the other thing I should say to you is that there's nothing which is specified as a proprietary spec. In other words, we're never going to say, specify that product and only that product. We're always going to specify something where, it's going to be based on a type of product, but there'll be the opportunities for, equal or similar products so that we can always get a competitive market and get people to compete. So there may be a local preference, but we do want to bring competition in because it doesn't do you any good to have a local preference if you don't have a competitive market. So that's how that works.
Okay.
Where's
You know-
Bray Whaler from?
Denver, Colorado.
Curious about one thing. $25 million is the cost for the purchase, and I trust Hilton. I know they're going to get top of the line. But if I'm correct, and our staff has shared these numbers in the past, the furniture in this building was roughly $27 million as well, right? This is 8 floors, and you're doing 30 floors.
Actually,
can you speak
But
to?
it's the power of purchasing, because you're buying 600 of the same desks, 600 of the same vanity, so you get really great.
Okay.
That's why hiring these guys that are experts in the hospitality sector,
This is why we're
they have
using-
such deep purchasing power, so does Hilton,
Okay.
to be able to get these vendors to really go competitive prices.
And by the way, I will tell you right now that what we actually have budgeted for this, now this will grow, but what we actually have budgeted is probably around $16 million. There's several million in there, which we have growth and contingency,
Right.
but it's really budgeted $16 million.
Okay.
Now, there's going to be some growth, and there's going to be more things we add to the program. But, the basic program right now, that 25 is 16, just to be,
Just to correct, it's actually 19. It's
19,
yeah.
19, I got my, okay.
Mr. Brady? Hold on. Brady,
Other questions?
Yes, just, I don't want to open up a whole area, but at this point, Jeff, can you give us a ballpark figure of how many full-time or part-time jobs that will be on the average? I know that there will
Operationally?
be, occasionally, there will probably be the need for more people, I would imagine temporarily than other times. I don't know. I don't run hotels, but about how many people are we talking about working in this hotel in every capacity? About what is about the ballpark figure? And if you don't have it, I'd like to get it.
I think you deserve to get that presentation by Hilton, because they
Yeah.
can talk to you about that. Because remember, there's going to be multiple shifts of personnel, because it's a 24/7 operation.
I have the number.
I know. I mean,
Yeah.
yes.
I have the number. I had it a month ago. I knew it. I could have answered the question a month ago. But as I get older, my mind loses
You better
facts.
get finished with this hotel pretty soon, then.
Yeah, I'm trying at 16. But let me get back to you, because I don't remember the precise number right now. I have it, and I'll get it for you. But the other thing is I want to get an update from Hilton anyway, because this is fluid.
Talk to you at another point about.
All right, other questions? Mr. Miller?
How many bids did you get on the contract for handling the purchasing operation?
Do you remember, Bonnie? Do you have that?
It's contained in your packet, council members, at your desk.
I think it's page 152.
It was like the fifth.
Book, right?
It's with this agenda, the committee of the whole agenda.
By the way, let me mention something about that process. When we did the procurement, we actually went out with the RFP, RFQ for both FF&E and OS&E. And based upon the procurement process, we decided to split it. And because we could have awarded everything to one or the other. And as it turns out, what happened was we felt that Bray Whaler was the superior choice on FF&E. One of the parties they beat out on that was actually Hilton. Hilton has a procurement arm. We preferred Bray Whaler there, but I can tell you that the choice, and we're going to come back to you with the contract, the choice on the OS&E is Hilton's procurement arm. So we'll have a separate contract with Hilton for procurement of the OS&E, and it makes a lot of sense for Hilton. They have a very vested interest, and we can control that on the OS&E, but for the FF&E to actually, for various reasons, it actually made more sense for us to go with Bray Whaler on the FF&E. So when we come back the next time, there will be a separate procurement contract with Hilton for the OS&E. The owner, supplies, and equipment. Once again, the sheets, linen, soap. Hilton knows something about how to buy the soap for their own hotels.
Just go to Dean's House of Supply, you know.
To answer your question, Councilman Miller, there were 5 people that submitted. We ended up scoring 4. One, we didn't feel qualified to score them.
You finish? Greenspan and then Conwell.
Great, thank you. Actually, probably a very simple question. The OS&E, what's the total projected cost on that?
It's with the, we're again, we're going to put in a contingency in the resolution, but so the cost we're asking for is about $7 million. So it's about $5 million plus the contingency.
And what is the management fee to Hilton in this case?
Well, we're still trying to negotiate that.
We're not ready for that. That's in the process of being negotiated right now.
But with the Bray Whaler, so the total, assuming everything's spent, is $25,308,000, correct? It's 308 and then 25 million. The 308's not in the 25 million, is it?
Yes, it would be. The 25 million is in the with the 308
Yeah,
included.
it's included
So 308 is
within the 25.
within the 25.
So theoretically, if every nickel of the budget was expended, their fee wouldn't go up.
It would be
So it's 308.
so it'd
That's
be-
not to exceed.
Right, but the total contract is 25 million. So it wouldn't be 20, if everything is spent,
No,
it's
no,
not
no, no, no.
25.
The total amount that we are asking you to authorize is 25 million. If we, which means that the most that you're authorizing us to spend on FF&E is 24 million,
Okay.
700 or 600,000. We're not asking for 25 plus. And by the way, we will not, like I say, part of that is contingency anyway.
And to that point, well, so the 7 million is included in the budget, the 272,
Yes,
okay. And the 25 is included in the 272.
yes.
Is the contingency in both of those numbers included in the bottom 2 contingency numbers that we saw on that schedule?
No, it's in the 272.
So be in addition to the 15 plus 4?
Yeah, there's contingency in the 272.
Okay.
And if you went back to my original presentation, I had that broken out, and I can actually show you what the contingency is in the 272. I can even show you what part of that is FF&E and OS&E contingency.
Okay, all right, great, thank you.
Ms. Conwell and then Mr. Jimana.
A suggestion I had earlier regarding the tech lounges, we only have one, because whenever I travel out of town, everybody takes their laptop and all that, and generally, those areas are swamped with people at all times. So I was just wondering, had we ever thought, there never is any space, so that would be a suggestion to have maybe another one on another level. I don't know any hotel that has 2. They usually put it all in one area and you get it when you can.
Really, the tech library is a place to, if you will, to print your boarding pass. You do things like that. If you have to do true business things and you have to print something out or you need some help doing that. The whole hotel is going to have Wi-Fi enabled. So wherever you're in any of those seating areas we showed, you can sit with your laptop and work and get internet access and things like that.
All of those seating areas, unlike the struggles you've had, sometimes there's receptacles everywhere. So you'll be in a position to hook up anywhere. This particular area is where you're going to have a couple features that you don't have everywhere, such as a printer.
And my next question was, how do you plan on reaching out to the artists, to the local artists? Are you going to have an outreach event?
Well, we're going to go through we're actually in the process right now of having an RFQ process or an RFP process, excuse me, for our procurement. So we're going to have we're out with an RFP right now to get our consultant who is going to work with us to actually develop that whole public art program for the hotel.
Probably the same way that we did for this building.
Yeah, but
Yeah, it's very similar. And
there's a lot of
lower-
local artists in my district that said Land Studio didn't reach out to them, so my district is very
Well, that's a good
heavenly
point.
with a lot of artists, so I want to make sure that opportunity is opened up.
That was because Land Studio was not our public art procurer. So that's why they wouldn't have reached out to them.
Okay, but we want to
Yep.
do a better job. My concern was also on Brady's point. Are we going to have any outreach events for the employment?
Oh,
For the
absolutely.
employees?
Absolutely.
And will be notified?
And what we're going to do there is Hilton will bring the responsible individuals from Hilton in. Keep in mind that they are the operator of the hotel. So when it comes to employment in the hotel, that's actually what they have a contract to do all that. So we have an oversight function to make sure they do it well because they have to honor all these contractual commitments. But as we get a little further down the road here, Hilton will come in and they will describe everything that they're going to do on the local employment front. By our very complex contract, we have this QMA, Qualified Management Agreement, and there's a lot of, agreements and goals that they have, things they have to satisfy. But they're the ones who are really, we hired them to do this, so they'll come in, they'll make those presentations. And it's a very, and that relates not just with inclusion, it also, the whole labor thing is also, there's a lot there. And so we'll bring Hilton in to directly talk to you as we get closer to that time.
Those goals that you mentioned for the contractors, are they utilized for the employees as well when hiring?
There are goals for the operation stage. They're not precisely the same goals, but there are goals because it's a different animal at that point in time.
And I guess my last question or statement, are we tracking where the contractors are coming from? Like which districts, which one of our districts they're coming from?
We have that capability through the yes, both. We do know that because we have, obviously, both of our databases of contractors say where they're from, and then the certified payroll will tell you where workers are from. So, yeah, we're tracking that. Now, districts within Cleveland,
County districts.
Well, come to think of it, I don't know if anything's ever been set up for a county district. I don't think so. Bonnie, are you aware of any certified payroll system? Have county districts ever been? I mean, we have addresses.
Yeah.
So you could take the addresses and figure it out. But so it could be evaluated because we have the addresses of every worker.
Would that be hard to do, to draft and send that to council where I have a high unemployment rate in my district, so I want to make sure that people are getting hired from my district on contracting as well as.
Yeah,
That can be evaluated.
The contracting, we could go by addresses, the name of the companies, the same the way we do it with when we have a
Public
direct
Works,
contract.
you hook us
Right,
up.
we identify what district it's in. As the certified payrolls, they would have their
Have the
addresses.
information.
Yes, they'll have that information there.
Now another aspect of this, just so you'll know, one part of this targeted, the 4% goal is to actually do demographics and target neighborhoods. And what's different about what we have to do than what Cleveland does, obviously Cleveland is only interested, when the city does it in the city limits, but in Cuyahoga County, there are neighborhoods outside of the city of Cleveland that also would qualify and be important for that inclusion. So there's a question there of getting, the neighborhood information and getting that understood as to where you want to target and target events to find workers. So that's all part of the process that we'll talk to you about when we come back.
All right, Mr. Germana has a question.
Hey, this is a question from way, way back, but the flow was going so well, I didn't want to start asking the questions.
Start
But
now.
the grand ballroom, 22,000 square feet. Do you have any idea what size the Renaissance Hotel's grand ballroom is? Just so I could kind of picture.
I have no clue.
I will get that information for you.
What do you
and
guess?
It depends on how you calculate the balcony. Because keep in mind, what's different about this ballroom and the Renaissance Renaissance is, if you recall, you know, the Renaissance has that floor area, and they have that area around. But I would guess that this is larger
Well,
than the Renaissance.
The Renaissance, I think, completely full is 1,000 people.
I think it's about 11,000 without the balcony, and with the balcony somewhere I've seen it about 14 to 15,000. So you're talking about
Yeah, this is 20.
somewhere in the
this is
neighborhood of
22.
7,000 square feet bigger than the Renaissance, including the
Yes,
balcony.
I know it's bigger. I didn't know how much. You know, the only thing that you know the Renaissance has, you know, it has the remarkable stage.
Exactly. Okay,
Right.
thank you.
But one could have the same event that you do at the Renaissance at this hotel.
I've
One
seen
could-
you on that stage.
You have seen me on that stage,
Wearing green tights.
wearing green tights. That's true. That's another story for another day.
Is that for the record?
It's not a good visual.
No.
Is that going to be the closing comment?
Okay, any other questions? If not, we need a motion to move this item out of the committee of the whole for second reading adoption at a regular meeting in 20 minutes or whenever, under suspension of the rules. All right, so it's moved by Mr. Gallagher and seconded by Mr. Germana. Do we have any discussion on this? I would think that when we, you know, sort of when we voted to fast track this, we really put all these things in motion, so we're on a pretty tight schedule.
Madam Chair, I'd just like to comment that I'm glad that it was scored, and we see what the scores are, and we see who the people were that were part of this, so I'm comfortable with that.
Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and this will be moved on to the agenda for our regular meeting this evening. Thank you, Mr. Applebaum and Mr. Katz. Look forward to seeing you again soon for an update, and you can work with staff about getting a date. Is there any miscellaneous business? Any public comment unrelated to the agenda?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay, we stand adjourned until 5 o'clock for our regular meeting.